please turn your attention to the stage. We have the honor and pleasure of introducing someone who actually needs no introduction. He is a media mogul. He is a New York Times best-selling author for his memoir, and he is the host of his show, The Stephen A. Smith Show. If we can please put your hands together for the one, the only, Stephen A. Smith.
What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? Thank y'all for coming out here, joining me out here. I got a lot of stuff that I want to get into today. I'm looking forward to having Coach Steve Sarkisian for the Texas Longhorns in the house. I'm looking forward to having them here. Xavier Worthy is all-world wide receiver. Looking forward to talking about some things with him, particularly after that what is it, 2.21? I mean, damn. He put on the show, sending that jersey to the Hall of Fame. I'm not used to doing shows like this. It's outside, the weather's shining, everybody's in a good mood, the whole bit. But for me personally, and I'm just going to stand up because I can, for me personally, I love doing stuff in front of crowds. Usually my show, the Stephen A. Smith Show, is on 3 days a week minimum. There's specials that we do throughout the week, and who knows when I'll go to 5 days a week. I just love doing it. I love what I do. There's a lot of stuff to get into, and there's a lot of stuff that I like to get into, and I don't like to be shy about what I have to say, how I feel, or anything like that. So I'm certainly not going to start today, okay? There's a lot of NFL stuff to get into, so let me get that stuff out of the way because I got producers looking at me and putting me on a time code, and I like to listen to my producers even though I don't. And the first order of business is what's transpiring in the National Football League. It's the first day, free agent signings and what have you. Top story has been Saquon Barkley going to the Philadelphia Eagles. Let me say a couple of things. I know you want to hear about your Cowboys, but damn it, they keep losing. Okay? When they start winning, we'll talk about them. I love them. I can't stand Cowboy fans, but I love the team. I love Jerry Jones. That's my buddy. His son Steven was right inside. It was good seeing him. But that's very, very bad news for the Dallas Cowboys because when you look at Saquon Barkley, and what he brings to the table is a dual threat. 35 touchdowns rushing in his career, 12-yard touchdown passes in his career that he's caught. The brother's all-world. And when you look at him being all-world and then you look at a guy like Jalen Hurts, you look at A.J. Brown, you look at Devontae Smith, you look at Dallas Goedert, you look at a formidable offensive line. This comes down to Jalen Hurts, who's got something to prove. If Jalen Hurts don't show up, they're toast. And they got a lot to make up for after they nosedived last year. So I'd like y'all to keep y'all mind on that. Let's get that out of the way right now. The Dallas Cowboys, as formidable as they're going to be, I know I'm in Texas. But the bottom line is, them brothers they got their work cut out for them. I don't know if y'all going to win the NFC East this year, but we shall see. I'm not going to depress y'all by talking about Dak Prescott. We're going to be nice today. I'm in Texas. The weather's nice. You're in a good mood. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings by telling you what your quarterback ain't going to do this upcoming season. I'm not going to do that to you. I'm going to move on from that. The Atlanta Falcons, they acquired Kirk Cousins. 4 years, 90 to 100 million guaranteed. They're talking about what he's going to do. Damn it, he's coming off an Achilles injury. I'm not sold. They got Bijan Robinson. You remember what he did when he was here. That brother's something special. They got some other weapons as well, but they got a long way to go. I'm not being sold too much on that. That's how I feel about Kirk Cousins going to the Atlanta Falcons. I'm looking back, getting back to Jalen Hurts. There is no excuse for him not to handle his business this upcoming season with those weapons he has available to him. Now, the Eagles secondary, they were ranked 31st in the National Football League. They were trash. They can't stop a cold in the passing attack. We get that. So until they upgrade in that regard, I don't know what they're going to be able to do, but that's a story for another day. The other one I wanted to get to was Russell Wilson. And I'm going to go sit down for this one. Because, you see, we got to be honest when we're talking about certain people. And we don't want to get too personal. But if you live in the city of Denver, if you are a Denver Broncos fan, the only damn thing you have to thank Russell Wilson for is bringing Sierra with him. There's nothing else that he's really, really done that should turn anybody on. It's just that simple. Because he struggled 11-19 as a starter. And all of these people that you see all of these shows talking about Russell Wilson. Let me be very, very clear. Russell Wilson can still play. The 9-time Pro Bowler, he's a Super Bowl champion. He can still play. And he's going to the Pittsburgh Steelers now on a minimum guarantee $1.2 million contract. But it doesn't matter because he's getting $37.8 million from the Denver Broncos. They're obligated to pay him those dollars. So he's going to make $39 million next year. Okay? And it's a hard $85 million cap hit the Denver Broncos are stomaching. And they did that just to get rid of his ass. So when you look at it from that perspective, you're wondering, can he still play? Yes, he can still play. 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, doesn't turn the football over. We get what he brings to the table. I'm going to end by saying this, because this is very important. When you saw Russell Wilson and you see people on TV complaining about him, all of you whippersnappers out there, young, middle-aged, old, and in between, listen to what I'm about to tell you. You can't act above everybody else. You can be above. I mean, you know, there's Stephen A. and then there are other people. And so that comes with it. But what you can't do, and I'm looking at my producers, hold off on the clock because, damn it, I started late. Give me an extra minute. When you are here, you can't act like other people are there. And that's what Russell Wilson did. Russell Wilson went to Denver, had like 3 or 4 private parking spaces reserved for himself, had his own office, came through a side door, didn't fraternize or socialize with his teammates. So you were separate and apart from that. Why would they want to be your teammate? You got to be Tom Brady, you doing something like that. You got to be Patrick Mahomes, you doing something like that. Oh, by the way, they didn't do that. So who the hell was he? That is the indictment that people are not saying enough about Russell Wilson. I can assure you that ain't going to happen in Pittsburgh. Mike Tomlin and the crew ain't having that. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. Those are some of my quick hitters. I want to move on to another subject because before the coach comes on, and damn, this is a beautiful day, and Austin, Texas is a nice city. I'm just going to say it's a lot of potential in this city. It is. I mean, it ain't no state income tax. I might have to move out here. But that's the subject for another day. Did y'all see that fight? Not really a fight, but, you know, little tension existed between the women's LSU basketball team and with Angel Reese and the crew and going up against Dawn Staley and the University of South Carolina. One of the players got pushed down by the big girl right here. You see this right here. She got pushed down. Her name is Jones, and she got pushed down by the big girl for South Carolina, Cardoza. The brother of Jones comes jumping over the scorer's table. First things first, he got arrested. They just arrested him earlier today. Ladies and gentlemen, he deserved it. You had to arrest him. I know that's not a good thing to say. It's not popular, especially the young brother, the black man. I'm sitting up here. I don't want to say that. But what you got to do is engage. See, we've lost sight of scare tactics. Don't incarcerate him. He didn't touch anybody. He didn't harm anybody physically. But you got to arrest his ass. And you got to give him a fine. You have to do something dissuasively to prevent others from replicating his actions. You can't give the impression that it's okay, because some of you youngsters out there, y'all will do that. Y'all will do something. You understand? Because you don't want to abide by rules if you don't have to. And by the way, all of us were guilty of that when we were younger. But rules and regulations, ramifications and consequences are the kind of things that serve as a deterrent to prevent you from doing stupid nonsense. All right? And that's what needed to happen. As it pertained to the girls, you're South Carolina. LSU's the reigning defending national champion. It's an in-conference rivalry. It's big time. Dawn Staley and South Carolina, despite the fact that LSU is 28-4 at the time, Dawn Staley and South Carolina are going through their second consecutive undefeated season. In the last 2 years, Dawn Staley is 66-1. In the last 3 years, she is 103 and 101-3. Oh, by the way, a national championship and 3 consecutive berths to the Final Four. She is the real deal. But in the aftermath of it all, she put forth the right message. She apologized to the basketball world. showed class personified. She showed that because she said there's no place in our game for this. They're a bit rambunctious. They got out of control. If it was our squad from last year who's more experienced, that wouldn't have happened. But when you got youngsters out here, they're going to look out for one another, and the first inclination is going to be to throw down. But Kim Mulkey, who won national titles at Baylor, who won the national title at LSU last year, who's a Hall of Fame caliber coach, doesn't come across as a Hall of Fame caliber person. Remember years ago, she alienated Brittany Griner after Brittany Griner delivered success for her. All right? We saw how she acted on multiple occasions in terms of her words. We saw how she was acting last year. And then here she is now. And when Dawn Staley is issuing that statement and being class personified, what the hell does she do? Kim Mulkey comes out and says, Cardoza shouldn't have pushed somebody her size so much smaller than Cardoza. I wish he would have pushed Angel Reese. So you're inviting a fight. And do we really want to see that with the ladies? I don't know about y'all, but I don't. You know, when Ronda Rousey years ago got knocked out by Holly Holmes, that kind of hurt me. It hurt to see her get knocked out like that. I don't want to see women getting beat up. It's just me. We live in a country, be free, get your money, compete, fight, all that other stuff. It's just hard to watch sometimes. So you certainly don't want to invite that in the sport of basketball. You want to invite that in the sport of boxing. This was not boxing. This was basketball. Kim Mulkey needs to be more responsible than that. And we need to hold her to the same level of accountability we would have held a Gino Auriemma or a Dawn Staley or somebody else. That's what we need to do. We need to be consistent with that. And that was not the case yesterday. So I wanted to mention that. Speaking of boxing, Lord, I'm imitating Snoop Dogg because this right here is highlights of Francis Ngannou fighting Anthony Joshua. Look at this right here. Lord, oh my God. Did you see the leg? You see, ladies and gentlemen, that hurt my heart. That hurt my Lord. And we can look at it and we can say, well, that should be a deterrent for UFC fighters to be stepping in the ring against professional boxers. But we're not going to listen to that. And here's why. Because Francis Ngannou, with the decision loss to Tyson Fury months ago and the knockout loss to Anthony Joshua just this past weekend, made more money in those two fights than he made in his career as a UFC fighter. And so when that's happening and you're able to get that kind of dough, you got to take that seriously. Here's what I peeled from it. I'm a boxing lover, and I love the UFC too because I love the job Dana White is doing. And I love the fact that Dana White, I wish boxing had a Dana White because Dana White, the head of the UFC, gives you the fights that you want to see when you want to see it. I know of situations personally where dudes got up in each other's face, talking smack to one another in the parking lot and was ready to throw down with their crew. And Dana White jumped in. Whoa, 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 what you doing? What you doing? What you doing? Why don't you sign on the dotted line and get in the octagon and do it? And that's what they did. You see guys, and you're like, how the hell this fight happen? Nobody was thinking about them two going up against one another, but they talking smack to one another right here in the backyard here in Austin, Texas. And Dana White like, no. Sign right here. And y'all can handle your business in the octagon. He gives you the fights that you want, when you want to see them, and he doesn't allow fighters to wait forever. The exception would be Conor McGregor, who made 9 figures and then made an additional 9 figures with proper 12, whiskey and all of that stuff, and lost his zest to get in the octagon. But 99.99% of the time, that ain't happening. You're going to have to fight. Here's the other thing that I peel from it. Boxing needs a Dana White because, you see, we want great fights. And with Francis Ngannou getting put to sleep, ladies and gentlemen, he's put to sleep. That brother was snoring. Okay, he wasn't wobbly. He got up and, he's just discombobulated. No, he got knocked the hell out. Okay, put to sleep. Because that happened, now we get to see, in my estimation, Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury. That's what I want. That's the kind of stuff I want to see. I want to see the fights that we want to see when we want to see it. It's just that simple. I know y'all expected me to talk about some basketball. There's really no need right now. Houston's making a nice run, but they ain't gonna win anything. But I'm happy with what they're doing. The Dallas Mavericks trying to make noise with Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic because Luka Doncic is that dude and stuff like that. We'll see what they do. I think they're a bit undersized unless Gaffey and other brothers step up, and we'll see what happens. But I'm not sold. Those are your basic teams. You want me to mention San Antonio? Really? You don't want me to do that. You don't want me to do that, do you? Wembanyama's the truth. And I got a lot of love for him. He's going to win Rookie of the Year. He deserves it. But they're the San Antonio Spurs. And we're going to be kind today in Texas. And we're just going to do that, all right? So I just want to be very, very clear about all of that and get that out of the way. I didn't talk about basketball on purpose because this ain't the last I'm going to be talking to y'all. So stay tuned and what have you. Anyway, we got a guest coming on the show right now and had a very, very successful season. And we'll be talking about him in just a second here. So stick around. The head coach for the Texas Longhorns, the one and only Steve Sarkisian. He's up next with your boy, Stephen A., right here over the digital airwaves of YouTube. Back with more in a minute. Welcome back to the Stephen A. Smith Show right here over the digital airwaves of YouTube. Now, I mean, I love my voice. I think my voice is beautiful, to be quite honest with you, if I should say so myself. But it's nothing compared to, my girl right there. One of my employees doing such a sensational job. I love her voice so much. She's a Jamaican woman, And she loved the accent and the whole bit, so she's going to introduce our next guest. Rather than me do it, I want to hear her do it. Solange, take it away.
Jano, pressure, now I'm under pressure,
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Without much further ado, I would like to introduce our next guest. He is the head football coach of the University of Texas, Coach Sarkisian. Put your hands together, please, ladies and gentlemen.
What's up, Coach?
It's good to see you, Coach. How you doing, buddy? How's everything?
I'm doing great, man. Welcome to Austin.
Listen, it's a beautiful city. I can't front. And, you don't have to pay any taxes, any state taxes here. I mean, you keep more of your money living here.
I know.
Coach, last year, 12-2, got to the semifinals, the college football playoffs. Put into your words what kind of season it was and how did you feel about how things went?
For us, it was kind of a 3-year journey to get to that point. When we took over, year one was rough. And 5-7, we didn't have one player drafted at the University of Texas in the NFL draft after year one. Year two, we go 8-5. We have 5 guys drafted. Bijan ends up going in the first round to the Falcons. Year three, we go 12-2. We win the Big 12. We're a play away from playing for a national championship. And we just had 11 guys go to the NFL Combine, which is a record for the University of Texas. So the journey's been pretty amazing.
What has been amazing about you being here? What is it about this place that made you want to be here so badly?
We got to remember, history lesson, go way back to Vince Young, 2005 Rose Bowl.
Oh, one of the greatest games I've ever seen.
Ever.
Yeah.
I was calling plays for USC in that game.
Wow.
And I'll never forget trying to throw Reggie a wheel route early in the game, and the linebacker runs stride for stride. I said, shoot, man, they run like we run. Right. We thought we had the fastest team, biggest, baddest dudes on the planet. Right. And Texas had a great team, and then Superman, I always call Vince Superman now, he beat us that night. And so I'd always held Texas in a really high regard from afar. And so when this opportunity came, when I was at Alabama with Coach Saban, and some opportunities were coming my way, I said, okay, it's going to be a reality. I'm going to be a head coach again. Let's make sure it's the right spot. And when Texas called, I remember going home to my wife saying, that's the one. And if we can get to that job and get that place turned around, this is my opinion that this is the greatest job in America.
You've had a top 5 recruiting class over the last 3 years, your 3 years here. Did you anticipate that being a reality?
I felt like we could. Our footprint is incredible, obviously, in the state of Texas. More players signed Division I scholarships out of the state of Texas, more players drafted in the NFL draft, but also the brand, right? I mean, you see that Longhorn, it doesn't say Texas above the top. It doesn't say Longhorns below it, but everybody knows it's Hook'em Horns. And so the footprint, not only in the state of Texas, but as you sweep the country, we felt like we could recruit anybody in the country, not just because of the history and tradition, but the city of Austin and what's happening in the city of Austin here over the last 5-10 years. And then obviously the education piece. We're a top 10 public university in the country.
I look at Texas and I say to myself, great city, great locale. Obviously, you look at the university, it's spectacular. I've been there before. I've spoke there before. I love the university. I love even more the fact that you guys have departed from your conference and you're now joining the SEC. I personally think that that's going to be something that's epic, and not just because of the conference itself, but because yourself, obviously, in Texas A&M, going to resume your rivalry, going to be going up against one another. What do you think that's going to do for this program?
Well, I think it's going to be big. Inevitably, when you take over a program, you're trying to look at where are the holes in the program, what are your issues. And one of the things that was happening to us in recruiting was the SEC schools were using it against us. You want to play in the SEC, right? We have more players drafted year in and year out than any other conference in the country. And so now we kind of get that back, right? We get to take that back. But great games. I mean, we're playing the Red River rivalry one weekend. The very next weekend, we're playing Georgia here, right? And so those opportunities for our players, they want to play in those marquee games. And so now the opportunity is there, renewing the rivalry with A&M, all that stuff's going to be fantastic.
Give us an inside look. I mean, we can talk about it from afar. We can talk about it as fans. We can talk about it as pundits like myself and others. But when we talk about a conference compared to another conference, there's this mystique. This conference plays this way. That conference plays that way. We look at the Pac-12 a lot of times. People would assume, what they're really about offense. They don't play enough defense. They're not physical enough. They're accustomed to Southern California, stuff like this, right? I look at it from the standpoint that I'd like somebody like you to explain what life is like playing in the Big 12 compared to ultimately going in the SEC. What's the difference you believe is going to exist? And people are going to look at it and say, wait a minute, this is a different thing. This is a different level now that we're here.
I think the biggest thing, and when you look at the SEC, is the line of scrimmage. When you look at the amount of defensive linemen, there's a lot of games we'll go into in the Big 12. We'll say, hey, we got to block number 90. Okay, he's a premier guy. He's an NFL player. And that might be 1 week, might be the next week, might take 3 weeks for there to be another first-round type draft pick. You go into the SEC, it's every Saturday. And they might not have one, they might have two. You might play Georgia, they got 5. I mean, they have 5 NFL defensive linemen. And that's the challenge week in and week out, that you've got to be good up front. The coaching is tremendous, obviously, and then the speed on the perimeter. And so when you start to build the team in this conference, you've got to be great up front. You've got to have playmakers on the perimeter. And like any league in football, I don't care if it's a little league to the NFL, and you know this as much or more than anybody, you better have a trigger man, right? And so that's what it takes in this league. That's why I think it's so hard to consistently win in the SEC conference. And that's what Coach Saban was able to do. That's what Kirby's been able to do in recent history. Teams have had moments, but they haven't been able to sustain it for an extended period of time like Coach Saban was able to do.
Second game of the season, you guys beat Alabama. I said Todd all day, every day, because it wasn't really about Alabama to me. It's about one of my favorite coaches ever in the great Nick Saban. He decided to retire. He's hanging it up. He's going to be doing what I do, except 10 times better, by the way. What's it going to be like for you to look at that sideline, to look at Alabama, and to not see that man coaching on that sideline?
It'll be definitely unique. And first of all, I got a ton of respect for Kalen DeBoer. Shoot, he beat my butt in the semis this year, to go play for a national title. But Alabama, Nick Saban, synonymous, right? I mean, and I remember growing up, it was Alabama, Bear Bryant was synonymous. Yep. And so now what Coach Saban was able to do, in my opinion, the greatest college football coach of all time.
Same here.
I mean, what he's been able to do was incredible. But they still got great players. They still got the history and tradition. Coach DeBoer, like I said, he's a heck of a coach. They got a heck of a staff. They're going to win a ton of games, right? So nobody feels sorry for Alabama. It's like they're crying from the yacht somewhere. You know what I mean? But they're still going to be really good, but it is going to be different. I mean, what Coach Saban was able to do there, the amount of players he produced in the NFL, the championships they won, you just kind of have to kiss the ring every time you see him.
Talk about what Saban has meant to you. Doing my research and reminding myself of when you said where you are right now in life, you're in a very, very good place. You're healthy. You're feeling good. You're looking good, obviously. It has a lot to do with Nick Saban because he saved your life because he mandated a medical exam for you. Tell our audience about that and what that was about.
This is a fascinating story. So every offseason at Alabama, which we've now instituted, you have to go get an executive physical, okay? And so I go do my physical. I'm in great shape. It's COVID. You know, everybody's made a gym at their house. I bought everything I could off of Amazon. I got crap everywhere. So I go do my executive physical, and part of it was to do one of the tests. There was a little bit of a line. I see the doctor. Man, my stress test was great. My blood works great. We're walking out, and the gal says, "Oh, we can do this one last thing." I said, "Okay, great." I go do the test. I'm halfway home from Birmingham. The nurse calls and says, "Has anyone ever talked to you about an aneurysm or a heart murmur before?" And I said, "No. What are you talking about, though? Right? What are we talking about here right now?" And in the end, within 4 days, I had open heart surgery because I had an aneurysm in my heart.
Wow.
That what they call in the medical world is the widowmaker. That, you know, a lot of times that's get misconstrued. Somebody had a stroke or a heart attack. A lot of times they have an aneurysm that ends up you know, causing their death immediately. So without that, I might not have ever found that. And so I always say Coach Saban saved my life twice. One of which he saved my career by giving me an opportunity when I was on the street to come back as an analyst. And then 2, to have me go do that executive physical to get my heart fixed. And here I am now. I'm at the University of Texas.
You know, when one of the great moments I've ever had in my career, he asked me to come and speak at the University of Alabama.
I was there.
Yeah, that's right. You were there. And we sat in his office for an hour, just he and I, you know, talking. My brother-in-law was with me too, but he was just sitting by. And the life lessons this man gave me about to keep on going. No matter how successful you are, it doesn't stop. You got to do it again. As long as that's your occupation, that's what you're doing, you got to do it again. Is that what he instilled in you, or do you feel that's something you've always had?
Well, I think I had it, but I don't think that I had the discipline that he has. You know, I think there's one thing about Coach Saban. You know, it's one thing to say and have your players want to do something, staff members. It's another to live it. The discipline that he lives his life with on a daily basis. I mean, God knows what could be going on inside that building, but if it's Wednesday at 1 o'clock and he's supposed to be watching third down, damn it, to quote you, he's watching third downs.
Right.
That's what he does. I mean, his day is so regimented that to me, it forced me to find my routine of who I was, what I was, how I was going to go about my business on a regular basis, and then the consistency of my messaging to the players. That I wasn't ever asking them to do something that I wasn't capable of doing or willing to do myself.
Gotcha.
And it was remarkable to watch the level of consistency in which he did it, and he just never settles. He never settles.
You brought up players and the kind of message that you want to consistently give to your players. Speaking of players, I got somebody here for you. It's an all-world brother right here that just broke records. Sending his jersey at the NFL Combine, you know, to the Hall of Fame, the one and only Xavier Worthy. Come on up here, man. Come on up here. What's up, my man? Good to see you, man. How's everything going?
It's good.
Well, first of all, I'm not going to lie to you. It's the first time I'm meeting you in person. I expected you to be a lot bigger. I'm like, damn, I expected you to be a lot bigger. I mean, you're not that big, bro. But you can ball. Congratulations on what you did at the NFL Combine. What was that like for you?
Man, it was crazy. You know, growing up, watching the NFL Combine your whole life, and getting on that stage and just doing something like that is just life-changing.
I'm looking at you right now, and obviously you've got aspirations to go to the next level, and you will be at the next level because you just have the talent to do it. You heard what the coach just talked about as it pertained to discipline, really instilling that to maximize whatever potential that you have. What has it been like playing for this man?
Man, it's been amazing. Just coming off just when I even doing recruiting, I just left Michigan and I put my trust in him. I didn't even see the city yet, see the school, no nothing. I just put my trust in him, and it's all worked out for me.
When you look at last season, and I'll ask you both this question, obviously it was an incredibly successful season. Some people say it's great to get there. We got there. We were in the national semifinal. Some people get so close, they're like, you have no idea how bad it hurts when you can't close the deal and win that national championship. I'll ask both of you this question. Which category do y'all fall under?
It hurts.
I was sick.
Right.
Yeah, you're just sick, as competitors, which is what we tried to recruit. I think one thing that's unique about X is he was the first recruit we had when we came on board. Mm-hmm. And that signing class had already signed, and then we're trying to assemble elite competitors. And as a competitor, you want to win the last game. And when you get onto that stage and you don't win the last one, the immediacy is you're sick, you're frustrated, you're upset. Now that we're a couple months removed, now you can reflect a little and be proud of the accomplishments along the way. But in the moment, you're absolutely sick.
What about you?
You said it all, man. I was sick. I couldn't think about nothing else but that.
Playing at a university like this, and listen, let me tell y'all something about college. College can truly, truly be the best years of your life. Make no mistake about it. Damn it, I miss it every day. I miss it every day. And I got to tell you something. When you're in college, especially when you enjoy success, one would imagine that makes it that much harder to leave, even though there's incredible opportunities moving forward. Where's your mindset at right now? Mr. 4.21 and the 40. Where's your mindset? Wreck it.
Man, shoot, just leaving college, it was a hard decision. But even coming into college, I feel like I kind of had like that 3-year plan just to get in and get out and do what I need to do to take care of my family.
Fair enough. Coach, I got to ask you this because you enjoying the success that you're enjoying right now. When you think about a guy like Nick Saban who elects to walk away, you heard NIL, you heard transfer portal, you see his age, he's 72 years of age, and it's like, okay, I've done enough of this, enough's enough, okay? And that seemed to have affected him. When I looked at him, I never dreamed that he would retire this offseason. I never saw that coming. I thought it would be about 2 more years. Were you surprised at all? And what do you think about when people bring up the NIL, the transfer portal?
I don't know if I was necessarily surprised. When you've accomplished what he's accomplished, and you have an opportunity, he's got an amazing wife, Miss Terry, and you got an opportunity to go work in your industry, play a bunch of golf, do those types of things.
He's going to make money.
Oh, he's going to make a ton of money.
He's going to make a bag.
He's already made a ton of money, and he's going to make
more. Yes.
Yeah. And I think in his own way, he feels like he can impact our game even more, not being at one institution. I do think in some way, shape, or form he's going to be involved in college football. But to me, he taught me something when I was there that I've held on to as well. He always says, there's a reason dinosaurs aren't on the earth anymore. They couldn't adapt. And in college football, you either adapt or you die. And we've had to adapt. In the 3 years since I've been here, the transfer portal has kicked in. NIL has kicked into place. Signing days have changed. How we account for scholarship numbers have changed. Conference realignment has changed. And so we've had to continually adapt. And so my degree, I don't think so much that he just didn't want to deal with it. I just don't know if he felt like, man, do I want to continue to adapt, or can I go maybe help college football in a different way, right, and still make a ton of money?
Gotcha. Xavier, when I talk about you playing for Coach here, what's the kind of words and advice that he gave you prior to you making your decision to move on and to go to the next level? And what's the kind of things that he said to you guys, not just you, but your teammates, about what you need to do to be successful?
I feel like the best thing he's ever taught me was your 3 phases of life, which is work, personal, and what was the third one, Coach?
Your social.
Your social. Your social. I know it was social.
There's an academic piece in there. You don't have to worry about academics.
Yeah, I don't worry about academics, but it was academics. But right. I feel like that kind of taught me just to go about your business a certain way. I feel like if one phase of your life is messed up, he said the other one's going to mess up.
How prepared do you think you are for the professional ranks as a person? I know what you do, what you believe in yourself as a player. As a person, how prepared do you think you are, and tell us why?
I feel like I grew over time at Texas. I feel like Coach Sark kind of prepared us for this moment. Like I said, 3 phases, just taking care of your mental and just growing up, maturing in life. I feel like that's what's going to lead me to having all the success I need in the league and personally.
Coach, what are you telling me about social media? You got to have something. You got to have some advice you're giving folks about social media in this day and age.
Well, it's all the same stuff, and I think the reality of it is what we're trying to get across to these guys is the moment you hit send, it's forever. it never comes back. You can hit delete all you want. Moment you hit send, it's forever. And so I think those choices and decisions that we try to get across to these guys, because they're now more than ever in college, these guys are building a brand, right? And they're either creating value for themselves on all their platforms, or they're devaluing themselves. And so I think when we can get them to understand that their brand now is a social media brand, it's a public interview brand, it's a style of play brand, it's who you are in our community brand, those things are important. We're really fortunate here in Austin, and I think our players are really fortunate in that this is a big city now.
Yeah.
Austin has grown into a major city. We don't have pro sports. We don't have NFL, NBA, Major
You are
League
their
Baseball.
pro sports.
We are the pro sports team. So these guys have had to grow up kind of in this spotlight that in my opinion, what I would tell him, he's prepared for it because of that. Not all of it has been pretty, and he'll tell you that the same thing as well, because the scrutiny is a lot more than maybe other schools players would get. But in the end, I think they're more prepared for what the scrutiny of the NFL would look like.
Your coach ain't lying, Xavier. He ain't lying, because as a person in the media, I can tell you right now, I can meet you, I can have a lot of love for you. But at the end of the day, what you do in a public setting, we can't avoid it. Because if we avoid it, then we're not doing our job, and then we'll be held accountable in a way that you would be held accountable for.
Right.
And so you gotta call it like you see it. But the kind of advice he gave you is absolutely right. And here's why it's beneficial. Because if you listen and you follow the guidance that he gives, you'll make even more money, because it'll be beyond the playing field. Because when people invest in you, it's because there's something about you that they're saying they trust. And that is where it all comes in. Coach, I'll end by asking you this one last question before we go. Alabama was dominant for years. Georgia was a two-time national champion before they missed the college football playoffs this year. But when we look at quote-unquote dynasties per se, we thought Clemson with Dabo years ago when they had Deshaun Watson and then Trevor Lawrence, we thought they was going to do that. We saw what Georgia did. We saw what Alabama has done. Is that still possible to have in college football today, considering how loaded some of these conferences are and these programs are?
I think it is, because I think that the playoff evolving can help. I think one of the challenges with being a dynasty with the setup that we have with the 4-team playoff, it's hard to get into being one of the 4 teams. Georgia just found out. I mean, they won 27, 28 in a row.
I like 12.
Yeah,
I wish it was 16 playoff teams, man.
And maybe we'll get there. We don't know yet. Maybe we'll get there. But I think it's going to give a team, let's call it like ourselves, we're going to go play Michigan in week 2, and that's okay. You can afford a loss or 2 and get into the playoff, and then may the best team standing win it all in the end. And so I think it is going to create an environment and opportunity for the best teams to be willing to play big games and still get into the playoff and have an opportunity to win come late.
Coach Steve Sarkisian, wide receiver extraordinaire Xavier Worthy, right here with Stephen A. on the Stephen A. Smith Show YouTube. Thank y'all so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. Coming up, I got to transition away from the world of sports. People had an issue with some of the things that I said about the damn State of the Union address the other day. I'm not backing up. I'm going to say it again. Plus, I got some other stuff to talk about. Don't go anywhere. Stick around. It's the Stephen A. Smith Show. Back with more in a minute. Welcome back to the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you live in Austin, Texas, side of South by Southwest, where I had the pleasure of speaking yesterday afternoon on a fireside chat with my guy, Scott Soshnick, along with various others in attendance. And I want to thank him and thank everybody else for having me. I want to transition from the way of sports, and I want to get a bit personal, because I'm here with the audience, and I think it's a good opportunity, even though there are people watching me over the digital airwaves of YouTube. There's people listening to me after on the audio side, because I just did a deal with iHeartMedia, which I'm really, really happy about. And so you can catch me everywhere, Apple, Spotify, and everything in between, and, of course, all the iHeart, in the podcast world. But there are people who look at me, and they say, talking about sports, that's fine. Why does he talk about anything else? First things first, damn it, because I want to. Let's get that out the way. Secondly, because I have the freedom to do so. Thirdly, it's not about knowing what I'm talking about or not knowing what I'm talking about. It's me being honest and forthcoming about where I stand, what's in my heart, what's on my mind, how I'm thinking, and where I'm coming from. If I reach out to you and I ask you to watch me on television, to watch me over YouTube, to listen to me in the audio space, I feel I have an inherent obligation to give you me, to let you know who you're investing your time, energy, and potential emotions into. It's the least I can do. You don't cheat an audience like that. You don't treat supporters like that. Hell, you don't treat haters like that. Now, you can tell them kiss your ass every now and then, but you don't treat them like that. You make sure you give them you. But one of the biggest reasons I love having this platform, the Stephen A. Smith Show, which I own and operate, audio and digital. It's mine, 100% owned. Why does that matter? Because, ladies and gentlemen, if that's not the case, or when that's not the case, you have employers. And to some of you youngsters out there, because the older folks know it, you don't get to do what you want to do, when you want to do, how you want to do it, but you have your hand out for somebody else's money. You gotta capitulate to some degree. So over the airwaves of ESPN for my day job, First Take, I can't say the things that I want to say all the time in its completion. I can touch on it, but I can't elaborate extemporaneously on what I want to say and how I damn sure can't say it how I want to say it all the time. Because sometimes I want to express myself in a way that ain't suitable for FCC airwaves. And if I want to get real raw, I can't use their airwaves to do it, because even though I'm one of the preeminent faces on the network, it's their network. And there's rules and regulations, FCC and beyond, that come with it. I say all of that to say, on this particular afternoon, I really do have an urge to tell somebody to kiss my ass. And those people would be a digital website called Awful Announcing. Now, let me call them out by saying, first, they do good work a lot of times. But do me a favor, and I've always asked people of this. If you're going to quote me, A, quote me accurately, and B, contextualize me in a proper way. Because that's what I do for people. I don't take a quote, take it out of context, use it for clickbait, and say, hey, this is what somebody said. I don't do that to people. I strive to quote you accurately. Why am I bringing this up? I spent more than an hour of my time inside yesterday being interviewed about my personal life, my personal business. And they asked me, Scott specifically asked me, and the audience asked me about me and working for ESPN and what have you. And so the headline is, I am not a prisoner to ESPN and the Walt Disney family. I spoke for an hour and 10 minutes. I elaborated on this particular question for about 20 damn minutes. And you pick out the quote, which, by the way, the quote itself was accurate, but it was taken out of context. I'm number one at the network, and that matters. I contribute to the bottom line. I don't bleed it. That doesn't make me worth more than them, as in ESPN, but it doesn't mean I need them in order to survive and to prosper, Smith said, according to Sportico. There are other ways to prosper. I am not a prisoner to ESPN and Walt Disney family. Now, let me tell you how this goes. You said that because everybody knows that I'm in the news because my contract ends a year from June. You said that because that's the news you want to make. You said that because everybody knows that I believe I'm the best. And with that comes something. They just left out how I have this podcast because ESPN allowed me to negotiate and carve out a segment in my contract to be allowed to do it. They left out how grateful I am to the network. They left out how happy I am to be a part of the network. And you're giving an impression that I'm trying to do something as opposed to highlighting me pointing out my ability to do things that normal folks in this business cannot do. Because when you worked in a business for 30 years, this is how it goes. Why is a subject like this compelling enough, or should be, of interest to all of you? Because all of you, as you sit around and you think about your value and what you mean, don't let people try to pit you against somebody when all you're talking about is yourself and what the industry says you are made of, what the industry says you've contributed to it, and what comes along with it. Every single person standing in front of me right now wants to know that they are worthy, wants to know that they are valued. And what determines that value in the world of business is the market that's out there. It's not a boss. It's not a particular employer. It's not anybody. It's what's out there, relatable to what you do. And I bring subjects like this up because, ladies and gentlemen, it's what got me in trouble years ago when I got let go and I didn't have a contract and I was out on the street and I was unemployed, wondering whether or not I was going to be able to pay a bill, let alone bills for years to come. And what did I learn? I learned that I had no clue as to what my value was because I didn't study the business that I was in. And by virtue of not studying the business that I was in, I empowered others to define my worth because I had no clue as to what my worth is. I don't care whether you're 56 like me, you're 46, you're 36, you're 26. If you don't know what the hell you do, if you don't know what you're doing, if you don't understand the value that you bring to the table, somebody else is going to determine it for you. And they may not be as accurate as you would want them to be. And if you allow that, then you're a prisoner to them instead of being somebody that's entrepreneurial and independent enough to be able to stand on your own. In the days that we're living in right now, you got cats on YouTube in their young 20s knowing how to make money better than some of us in our 40s and 50s because they studied what they do. And they said, no, you're not doing that. I'm going to do that because I'm wise enough to know what I bring to the table because I've studied my business. And by the way, when they do that, they don't go on emotion like my dumb behind did in 2009, thinking that I was valuable because my face was in commercials and on the side of buses and people were yelling my name when I walked into an arena. I didn't know any better. So what did I do? I thought that was defining, but they had the data. They had something that said, this is what your worth is. This is what it says compared to such and such and such and such. They had information. I had emotion. When you have emotion and you don't have information, you're going to lose considerably more than you win. Those were the things that I said yesterday. See how that differs from just the quote that I read? So people will represent you in the way they want to, unless you stand up on your own and you make sure that you're represented in the way you want to be represented. That's just the advice that I wanted to give to a lot of y'all out here who are handling business, some clearly more successful than me, some not. But I wanted to reach out because guess what? When you're in my position, you should be looking out. You shouldn't be just doing for yourself. You should be doing for all of y'all. That's what you're doing. And ladies and gentlemen, when I spoke the other day on that damn State of the Union address from the president, That's exactly what I was doing. I was looking out. I'm not engaging in politics or political talk like I'm some political aficionado. I'm a registered independent. If you're a Democrat, God bless you. If you're a Republican, God bless you. If you're a registered independent like me, fine. If you're somebody that don't want anything to do with it because you're disgusted with both sides, fine. I would ask that you vote because I never want to be responsible for telling somebody not to vote because I believe that's the greatest conduit for change potentially in this nation. You got to vote. You got to make a difference. You got to strive to make a difference. But when I brought up the State of the Union, as is the case with any subject that I bring up, where you got people all over social media and beyond, he don't know what the hell he talking about. How would you know? What did I say? All I did was run from one screen to another in my studio, which were 10 feet apart, and then I came back to the middle. I took a deep breath, and I said, does that mean I'm in shape? Because that's what Joe Biden did the other day. He gave a speech for an hour and 10 minutes, and folks on the left were just raving, oh, my God, did you see him? He was so articulate. He was so energetic. He was so energetic. Oh, did you see him? Did you see him? He didn't look like old Joe. Well, how the hell does that matter after an hour and 10-minute speech? That means that you, who will be 82 years of age in November, is qualified to run for 4 more years? That's all I said. I'm not getting in to the CHIPS Act, the immigration laws, the economy, or whatever the case may be. I said, damn it, a 1 hour and 10-minute speech don't mean you have the fervor to last 4 more years when you're approaching 82 years of age. You see how they do? They try to switch it. And what I'm telling you that's going to exist on the Stephen A. Smith show, as long as I'm here, is I'm going to give it to you like it is. I'm going to give it to you straight. I'm simply saying you can support Trump, you can be against him. You the Dems, you in trouble. The man got 4 indictments, 91 counts. And every time they indict him on something or convict him on something in a civil trial or a bad moment takes place in a criminal case, he gets more campaign dollars. He won't go away. He puts cats to shame, 9 lives. This brother got 19. He won't stop. He keeps coming. He will not stop. And he talks smack along the way. Vivek Ramaswamy, out. Chris Christie, out. Ron DeSantis. We haven't found. There's an APB out for Ron DeSantis. Can't find him. Nikki Haley held on forever until Super Tuesday, went out the door where everybody knew you were going. What took you so long? This is what it is. I'm not sitting up there. Is there anything that I said that spoke on policy? Did I tell somebody, leave illegal immigrants alone? Did I tell somebody, close the borders? I took no position. Not that I don't have one. I'm just saying that's not what I said. I'm not voting for Trump. You do it, God bless you. I'm scared he's going to provoke civil war. I didn't get into his policies. I'm just talking about how divisive somebody in that office being that way, what kind of trouble it can cause. But I'm down in Texas. When you talk about the immigration crisis at the southern borders, I know you're telling the truth. That's a problem. You got to do something about that. And how do I know this? Because I got Latinos and Latinas coming up to me and telling me. I didn't just make this up. They're like, man, we have to stand in line. I had one of my boys in California. He said, Stephen A., you love Great Adventures? I said, sure, I've been there. You like Disney World? Sure. I just took my daughters there. I went on all 26 rides. What a nightmare. I still haven't forgiven them for what they put their daddy through. They almost baked me alive. I was out there for 3 days, 7 hours per day, and I got a pass because I'm going to do it at Disney. So I didn't have to stand in line. I almost fried. I came back, blacked my ass, I looked purple. They almost killed me. Yeah, Stephen A., you got on the ride? Sure, I got on the rides. You know? They said, so let's say, for example, one of those rides you stood in line for 2 hours. And right when you were going to get on the ride, somebody walked in front of you. How would you feel? I said, hell no, they're getting their ass to the back of the line. He said, that's how we feel as folks who came here legally compared to those who are not. Now, whether we agree or disagree with him, I'm not from where he's from. He's entitled to his feelings. That's not political, that's life. That's life. You on the left, that's what they're doing. You Biden is 82 years of age. You on the left, you're depending on an 82-year-old man in the year 2024. 82. 82. Sorry, no. I don't agree with it. It's not political. That's me being 56 and saying, damn, I ain't in the shape I was in at 36. Life's a little different. So how am I going to feel when I'm 80? That's all. Don't let people try to interpret for you what you mean and what you say. Quoting you accurately is important, but contextualizing what you say in the manner that you say it is equally important. There are those who are interested in doing so. There are those who are not. And as long as I have this show, I'm going to pick and choose when to let somebody get away with it and when to jump all in them to make sure they don't, at my discretion. I just wanted everybody to know that it is absolutely, positively true, whether it's on TV or over the digital airways or YouTube, you never know what you're going to get from me because it all depends on my mood. If I come to work and you get on my last nerves, you're going to feel some heat compared to if you don't. And it literally fluctuates on a day-to-day basis. I apologize if that bothers people, but damn it, I can't help it. It's the way I've been all my life. Why the hell change now? Let's get to some tweets before I get on out of here, please. Let's see what we got here. All right. Let's look at this. At Jaguar Gator 9 NFL writes, if, Toley or Towelie from South Park takes a shower, what does he use to dry off? Does he use a towel? Is said towel sentient? How would this work? How the hell do I know the answer to that question? I'm going to say first of all, he looks like a towel. It looks like a blue towel with a smiley face on it. I'm going to say he's going to use a towel. That's what I'm going to say. I'm going to roll with that. How does it work? I have no idea. I guess he puts it on his body and rubs like everything else. Okay? That's what I'm going to go with. I hope that answer works for y'all. If it don't, I'm sorry. Let's go to the next tweet. Stephen A., which bite are you taking? A, B, or C? B. I like the middle. Okay? But wait a minute. I skipped a step. Was I the one that took the initial bites? If somebody else took the bites before me and just give me a bite to take, I would probably take the corner, which is C, because that looks untouched. Hygienically speaking, that's just the right way to go. But if it were me that took the bites that led to it looking like that, I would say B, because that's more the bread than the edges, and I don't like the edges as much. You see what I'm saying? I don't like the edges as much. Let's go to the next one right here. That was Josh Klein, 19, by the way. This one is at Oh My Diaz, writes, Jedi in Star Wars or wizard in Harry Potter? Harry Potter. That's what I'm going with. I'm going with Harry Potter. Harry Potter. Here's the reason why. I mean, that's a nice, it looked like a damn electrical or digital sword that you got, you Jedi. Now, I know it can cut you in half, and I get all of that. But Harry Potter, he's got that broomstick. That broomstick that flies around. I mean, listen, I'm going to be partial to find. Now, by the way, let me deviate from the subject for a second. I loved Aquaman. I mean, you know, when you could be underwater like that, and obviously you could breathe underwater, that's pretty fly. All right? But 70% of the world is made is out of water. That's on Earth. See, when you can fly, you can go anywhere. See, I'm more of a Superman. Like Batman, damn it, that's just a regular dude with a costume and gadgets. You Aquaman, you under the water, and I get all of that. But you can't fly. You can't fly to another planet. You can't fly into the universe. See, that's what I'm doing. Now, I'm not saying that Harry Potter could do that with a broomstick, but I'm simply saying your ability to fly is big time to me. I'm giving you the edge over that. I would be Harry Potter before I would be Jedi in Star Wars. Wait, you got one more? One more? All right. At Toxic Lakers. Oh, Lord. Okay, listen to this. Stephen A., have you tried the new KFC cheeser? That looks nasty. That just looks nasty. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me say, first of all, a couple of things. You don't go to a chicken spot for pizza. You just don't do that. You just don't do that, okay? You might as well go to the supermarket and get one of the frozen pizzas out of the freezer and heat it up in the oven when you get home. Don't go to a chicken spot for pizza, all right? And when they try to do it, feed it off a chicken cheeser. No. You don't get to do that. You don't get to do that, all right? So I don't like the fact that they imitated the Pizza Hut boxes. Get your own damn style. You can do better than that. And then not only that, that's just high cholesterol and a heart attack waiting to happen. It really is. It's nasty. And you need your heart pumping, y'all. You need your heart pumping for a variety of reasons. You need your heart pumping, okay? So it's very, very important that you are in the best shape that you can possibly be in, and this kind of stuff would really, really mess with you.
You can do chatting.
Excuse me? Who's speaking? Who dares speak while I'm speaking? Show your face.
To expand our business to the U.S.
Oh, it's crosstalk. Oh, that's interference. I apologize for that. I was like, who the hell is interrupting my show? I was getting ready to have an attitude. You know what I'm saying? That's going to be a problem. But I understand electrical, technical things happen. Listen, y'all, that's it for today's edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show. I can't tell y'all how happy I am that y'all showed out to support me and be part of the show and keep me company like this. Thank you so much. Austin is beautiful. There's no doubt about it. There's no state income taxes here. That makes it even more appealing. I might come down here a little bit more often. I might even come down. I might even come down for a football game, Basketball team's not that bad either, but it's all about the football. We get that. Basketball team's all right, but it's about the football. And Coach Sarkisian, thank him so much, and Xavier Worthy, all worldwide receivers, going to do big things on the next level. Looking forward to seeing him shine as well. Thank y'all all for supporting the show. Make sure you tune into the Stephen A. Smith Show on the Stephen A. Smith channel over the digital airwaves of YouTube. You can catch my podcast on Apple, Spotify, or anywhere else you can find your podcast for the iHeartMedia Network as well. Really, really thanking y'all from the bottom of my heart for coming out here and supporting me like this. I know you didn't have to. Your time is valuable. I appreciate you giving it to me. I'll try to give you the best that I've got each and every single day, each and every single show. Thank y'all so much. Take care of yourself. God bless. It's Stephen A. Smith signing off for the Stephen A. Smith Show. Peace and love.